Hi everybody, thank you for joining me today. I am bringing you your first process video using the June for the Love of Homemade kits. And today I'm going to be scrapbooking 3 photos that I took when we were on a vacation to South Dakota. These would have been photos of the 1880s train that runs between Keystone and Hill City. So I'm using a page design that is one of my go-tos. I like to scrapbook with multiple photos, and so anytime that I can get 3 on, it's great. And I really don't always like to cut them down from the 4x6. I tend to scrapbook as they are, unless, sometimes I'll go to 4x4, but for the most part, I just scrapbook with 4x6. So with this design, what I do is I stack the 2 horizontal photos on the one side, and then I'll put the vertical photo on the other. Sometimes I'll put the vertical on the right. Today I'm doing it on the left. It really just depends on the position of the photos, and what I mean by that is how are they, the view of the photo? Are the people in the photo looking to the left? Are they looking to the right? Is the motion going left or right? And so in this case, the train conductor and the train are coming at you from the left. So I want him on the left side of my photo block so it appears he's driving into my layout versus away from my layout. It just makes it a little bit more cohesive. Now I did struggle with trying to mat these photos a little bit. I don't know if it was the checks that were messing me up or if my paper was just a little off and wonky. But yeah, I was having a little bit of problems trying to get everything lined up and what appeared to be straight. And then I wanted a wider border, but then when I went to cut it down, I cut too much. So yeah, it was one of those days, but it's all good. So here's where you're going to see that I'm going to put that vertical photo to the left. Now I've done it where I've put the photo towards the top of the photo block, towards the bottom. It really just depends, and I'll switch it up, but it's a great design that allows you to get 3 photos on one layout. So here's where I'm going and just kind of continuing to trim down so that I have an even amount of paper around each side. And like I said, I just kind of struggled with it. At one point, one side looked a little bit bigger than the other, so I just took a little more off and then a little more off, and eventually I got it. So here I'm going to go ahead and throw this on top of the mustard paper, and I'm using the floral just like a shelf and building it upon that. And so it's just a nice way of getting a pop of color. It's easy. And then when I went to glue it down, I'm like, wait a minute, let me go and run it down the side, and then I can bring that color top to bottom. And so I ended up switching it at the last minute instead of having it like the shelf. And I really like how that looked. So I just made a quick decision, changed it up, and voila. And then again, I struggled with making it so everything looks straight. I don't know I did this layout right after I got done working today, so I don't know if staring at a computer for over 8 hours had my eyes a little wonky, but in the end, I was happy with how it turned out. So now I'm just going to go and grab a handful of dies that I had in my kit, and I'm just going to throw them up on the table and just start building with them. And so I found this flashcard that said adventure, and then I was looking, like the tag there I thought would look like a train ticket. So I put it to the side thinking I was going to build a cluster, and then I didn't even use it. Then I grabbed these yellow, like mustard colored florals, and I grabbed 3 of them, and I was trying to see if I could find a 4th, and I couldn't. So you'll see me continuing to rummage, just hoping that I had a 4th flower. But so what I'm going to do is I'm going to end up putting one up under the corner of the adventure and then one on top and on the bottom right. I found that die cut. I want to say it's a Pink Fresh, and it says something about getting lost. And so it kind of spoke about, traveling and getting lost in your adventures. So I'm going to go ahead and glue that down. Again, I'm going to go ahead and take this floral and tuck it underneath the card, and the other one I'm going to tuck on top. Then I found this little die cut word that says Picture Perfect. So now my title's kind of Picture Perfect Adventure, and then it's like Get Lost or something like that on the other die cut. So now I'm going to go to the bottom, and I am going to throw another floral at the bottom and start building down there. And I have to apologize because my photo editing software kind of covers it up. But I found an arrow, so I put the arrow in, and then I found that other phrase that was in gold lettering. I can't remember what it said, but I felt like it needed something in the upper right-hand corner just to give it kind of more of a triangle look. So I had that sliver of a half-inch piece of paper that I originally cut off when I cut the florals, and so I cut a very, very thin band at the top and then was able to adhere that underneath it and kind of roll it. And then I'm going to make my third cluster there. But as you can see, as I'm rummaging, I cannot find a third flower. So I end up finding one of those leaves, and I forget which group it came from. I thought about the camera, but I didn't want to go and pull in a new color. There really wasn't any pink in what I had pulled so far. So I find that yellow leaf, and I decide to go with that. I tried out the little banner. Wasn't sure about that. And you'll see it in a second. Like I said, I'm just kind of rummaging through, thinking there's got to be at least one. And then I settle for this day trip and then the leaf. And the reason I went with day trip is because we were gone for, a little over a week, week and a half. But what we would do is we had our hotel room in Keystone, and every day we would do a day trip to a different direction from the hotel. So on this day, we went on the train to Hill City. Another day, we went to Crazy Horse. And so every day, we just picked a different direction. So day trip kind of was fitting. I found this black camera that I just kind of peeked in over here, which I thought went with it. And now I'm just going to adhere these two down. And there's really not much more that I'm going to do with this layout. The only last thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to grab some wood veneer that I had. I had this little packet, and I don't even know what kit it came from. It may have been from my Secret Not Secret Kit Club. But it had some stars, an arrow, and the little circular star, and then it had a camera. And so I was able to get the arrow, the camera, and the stars put onto each of the clusters and kind of moved them around. So the only thing I had left from that packet was the asterisks, the ampersand, and the circle with the star in it. I was able to use up all the other little stars and pieces that had been in that little bag. So I was happy to get those on the layout. And trust me, I have a whole lot more wood veneer that needs to get used up, so using up this doesn't even make a dent, but every little piece counts. So here you can see I'm just kind of scattering them so that I get a little bit of the wood in each of the corners, and again, wanted to use up the stars. So I used one star like as the center shutter for the camera down below, and then I have the arrow, and then I'm just sprinkling stars above. And that's going to be it for my layout. I want to thank you so much for joining me today. Here's a few close-ups. If you're not already subscribed to my channel, I would love to have you as a subscriber. And I will see you again in a few days with my second process video for the Love of Homemade Kits.